class is going to be about women and really the purpose of women. So why we're here, what we need to do, because there's so many things going on in the universe now about the Me Too campaign and women's rights and women's equality. But if you really think about it, why do we need to be equal? And we need to think about it. Why do we need to be equal? Why are we so worried about women's rights? And there's this victim feeling, or there's this fear. Either, I'm afraid I'm going to be too overbearing of the man, or I'm afraid that the man's going to be too overbearing of me, or all these things that are not, it's just in our brain. So I want to take it, piece by piece, and really just dig in and think about it. So first of all, why do we think that women need to be equal? Why is there such a big thing about women's rights and women's equality? What women don't understand is what our job is in this world. And I want to go back to the beginning. Eliyahu touched a little bit about the Garden of Eden. So what happened in the Garden of Eden? So the Creator came to Adam and said, which is very interesting because I read a couple of different versions of the story of the Garden of Eden from different Bibles. And some say that God came to Adam and Eve. But it's not true. The Creator came to Adam and said, you can eat of all the trees of the garden besides the tree of good and evil, right? Then the snake comes to Eve, and like Eliyahu was saying about the spies, what does he say to her? He says, why would the Creator create something that's bad for you? You're not going to die from it. You're just going to be able to tell the difference between good and bad. So you should eat. What's wrong with that? So what did she do? She believed the snake. What happened? Eve wasn't there. She wasn't there. She didn't hear from the Creator not to eat from the tree. And we'll get into maybe in a couple of weeks if it was a tree, if it was grapes, what it was. What does it mean? And what does it mean for us? Because that time period, Eliyahu said, he mentioned that it was only a couple of hours that they were in the Garden of Eden. And I know I'm kind of all over the place because I'm trying to kind of lay the foundation of the next classes. But what actually happened was she wasn't wrong. Like the spies, they weren't wrong. They said what was true, right? But first of all, she wasn't there. She didn't hear it from the Creator. And her timing was a little bit off. So for women, it's all about timing. It's all about how you say it, when you say it, why you're saying it. Women are not supposed to be equal. We were not created equal, right? We're different. We have different sexual organs. We look different. We're not supposed to be the same. If a woman is just about giving and is not willing to receive, she has male energy, and she will never be able to be with a man. Because the whole point of a woman is to be able to receive. And it's almost like if you're able to, the true sharing is when you're able to receive so that the other person can give. But we're all about, we're self-efficient, we can do everything by ourselves. If we don't do it by ourselves, then it's not going to get done the right way or the way we think it should be done. It's not about that. We were not created equal. We're not supposed to be equal. Our job, so if we go back to the Garden of Eden now, timing was off. There is a certain amount of hours, and that actually happened right before candlelighting of Shabbat. So a lot of couples, a lot of boyfriends, girlfriends, Friday, right before Shabbat, is the time they fight. Because that's exactly the time it happened in the Garden of Eden. So if you're aware of it, you can control it. There's so many things that we're not aware of. So again, equal, we're not equal. We weren't born equal. We can give birth. Can you imagine if men had to give birth? I don't think there'd be many of us around. But seriously, all of this Me Too thing, I want to be able to start an organization of women that understand the spiritual reason why we're here. What's the Me Too? What's the Me Too? How many of them actually, I mean, I'm not saying that there aren't any that are telling the truth, but it kind of went overboard. You don't wait 25 years and then say Me Too. Because, and if you think about it, most women, what do you think most women are embarrassed about during, if God forbid somebody gets raped? What do you think they're embarrassed about? Do you know? Do you know what happens? Huh?
They get pregnant?
No, they have an orgasm. They have orgasms. And they're embarrassed. But your body works like that. It has nothing to do with them. So they're not afraid to talk about the rape. They're afraid because then they're going to have to talk about what happened and their emotions. So this Me Too, first of all, I haven't heard any man complain, and I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are men who've had all of these things happen, but they're not out there complaining. Now, we need to think about this. We went through all of what we went through, and I remember writing on Facebook, whoever wants to join us for the holidays, whoever wants to join us for a class, just to put something positive out there, everybody's willing to go for the negative, but no one's willing to go for the positive. The Me Too is not such a positive organization. So my idea is to start a Me Too, and hopefully we can put this on Facebook, not a Me Too, but a spiritual organization, where we're going to go step by step. We're going to learn about single and dating and marriage and parenting and what happens when you're an empty nester and after that. Because you know what? All of us are in that all the time. We're in those stages all the time. Those stages are happening all the time when you're dating. When a person gets married, they're still single because you still have to be a whole person by yourself. You're still dating because if you don't invest in your husband, nothing is going to happen. So all of these things are so important to lay the foundation of what's happening. Now, I want to go back to what women think they should be or how they look like in society. Eliyahu said about acceptance. Women have this idea that they need to be a certain way and they need to look a certain way. But the thing is this. First of all, our job as women is to be strong, to be empowered, to make a change in the world, right? We are here, we can give birth, we can give, and yet we need to know how to receive. And the only way we're going to make a change in the world is to learn both, is to be able to receive. Because when you're with a man, what is a man? A man has to be able to give. Just think about the sexual organs. A man has to be able to give. A man brings down the sperm, brings down the light, brings down however you want to say it. A woman has to learn how to receive, because if she doesn't learn how to receive, it's going to go to waste. And so when you're with a man, you need to be able to bring him to a place of he wants to give. Now, men you have to give them a push. They're not all just going to, jump and give, and we have that instinctively inside of us. No, it's true. We have it instinctively inside of us. So we need to know how to pull that out of them. Because, it's kind of a fine line between making somebody do something. Nobody is going to do what they don't want to do. Nobody. Nobody is going to do what they don't want to do. But our job as women, and it's all about timing. Think about going back to the Garden of Eden. It's all about timing. It's all about, okay, is this the right time to say this? What am I going to get from this? Is this going to help make the person better, or is it for me? Is it my ego? Women have gigantic egos. Why is it Me Too? Why is it women are about, equal rights and equal pay and equal? Why? It's not about that. We have our own set of things that we need to do in the world. We need to be able to bring, I was reading in the Zohar, it says that women are obviously left column, right? So left column is judgment. Right column is mercy. But you would think that it would be the other way around, right? But why isn't it the other way around? If you think about it, sometimes men will want to help their friends, and they'll go and they'll be with them for hours and hours and hours, and then the woman is at home with the kids, and she calls them like, what's going on? You need to come home, right? Because a woman is the one that brings, it's not necessarily judgment like what we think judgment is, but it's like boundaries, healthy boundaries for men. And that's where the judgment is. Now, a woman that's without a man can bring a lot of judgment. The same way that if a man is without a woman, he's not whole. Because the actual, I don't want to sound religious, but the actual reason why we need to bring children to the world is for the man, not for the woman. The woman doesn't have to. The woman doesn't have to come back. I mean, hopefully we'll have a reincarnation class. Women doesn't have to come back. That's why we go to hell, for purification, and we don't have to come back. We choose to come back to help the men in our lives. Believe it or not. Every single man in your life, if it's your father, your husband, your brother, your child, your whoever it is, we choose to come back in this life to help the men around us. So we've chosen, the same way you choose your parents, all those astrology things that you've learned about, we choose to come back. So now, let's think about the facts that we have. It was Eve's mistiming, off-timing, I don't know how to say it, of saying, oh, you know what, let's do it. The creator's not going to create something that's bad for you. Makes sense, right? Sounds right. The snake wasn't lying in anything he told Eve. Nothing, zero. All of it was true, but it wasn't the right time. That's why the creator told them not to do it. And the minute they did it, what happened? They were embarrassed because they felt shame. There was no shame in the Garden of Eden. Everything was one. The minute they did it, they knew the difference between good and bad, so they felt shame. There was no shame. So we need to go back to the timing. We need to go back to, what are we doing? What are we saying? Why are we saying it? What's our job here? Every single one of us as women has a different job in this world, and it's definitely not to be equal to men. Definitely get it out of your heads, please, everybody. It's not about equal rights and equal salaries. I was reading facts about women in the world. There's a tribe somewhere in the world that decided to become like men, and they swore to celibacy. They actually cut their hair, dress like men, talk like men, change their names, and they live in celibacy because they don't want to deal with being a woman. But that's the whole point of why you're here, is you have a gift of being a woman. So then there's the fact that because that happened, like he said, a couple of hours, because it happened right before Shabbat. Notice it. Friday afternoon, usually after 12:30. So before, from 1 o'clock in the afternoon to candlelighting, which is basically the whole afternoon, is when most of the fights happen between a man and a woman. Not just married couples. Just think about it. Between, girlfriend, boyfriend, between any man and woman, that's the time that it happens. Why? Because that's the time that it happened in the cosmos. That's exactly when it happened in the Garden of Eden. So we have that window to try and fix. We have that chance to try and fix it. How? Timing. Just think about what you're doing, who you're talking to, how you're talking to them. If we think all day of how to receive so we can give, how to receive so we can give, it's not about giving, because that's what happens when women become self-sufficient. And then there's no room for a man. But that's not the point. The point is not to be alone. Again, we're not like the Amazons I was reading the weirdest facts. I read that the 2017 Supergirl or Wonder Woman movie was the first time a superhero movie was directed by a woman. Who cares? Where do they get all these facts? Or that the woman makes 80 cents to the dollar of every man. But you know what? I'm not exactly sure that's true, because I know a lot of women who make a lot of money, but they don't make a big deal out of it. They're not saying, oh, I make $2 to a man's dollar. The women who are wrapped up in those things have a lack, and they don't understand what the purpose of women is in this world. And it's definitely not to be equal, to be the one, to be the breadwinner in the family. Like it's a big deal now that women go out and work. It's not about that. Yes, that's nice. I'm not saying you shouldn't. But it's about how do we affect our children, our brothers, our fathers, our whoever the men are in our lives. That's what it's about. So when you go out on a date, or when you're talking to somebody, or when you're talking to your brother or your father or whoever it is, think about what you can get from them so that you can share. What can you get from a man? What can you receive? What can you let him give you so that you can share? By them starting to give you, they will feel better. Now, women, in Kabbalah, women are automatically on a higher spiritual level. That's why we don't need to go to the Torah. We don't need to read from the Torah. We don't need to pray. Women really don't need to do any of those things because we're automatically on a higher spiritual level. What does that mean? That men need to work harder for it. But at the same time, we need to be careful of bread of shame because everything comes easier for us, right? Everything comes easier, so you take it for granted. So a lot of women take the men in their lives for granted. Because when you start doing something for somebody and enabling them, you're taking it for granted. You're taking it for granted that, he'll always need you, or he'll always be there, or, you'll always have to do something for them. That's not what it's about. We need to be able to balance that. We need to be able to balance how we are self-sufficient. We're not supposed to be self-sufficient. That's why we're here with men in the world. I know a lot of women would be happy with just being by ourselves, and we would be. But it's not about that. It's about being able to confront. It's about not running away. A lot of times we deal with it by, I'm busy now. How many of us say, I'm busy now, I can't deal with it right now, I'll talk to you later? And we don't. Obviously, we don't. And how many of us think of it as a job? We think of it as another thing that needs to be done. It's on the list. And I'm not just talking about a soulmate or a partner. I'm talking about any man in our lives. Because, brothers, fathers, children, whatever. As women, our goal is to change the world. But we need to help the men get there. Can't do it by ourselves. Think about that. Women are judgment. If there is women who are ruling, there will be judgment. There will be judgment in the world. So our job is not that we need to hide behind a man. It's the opposite. Everybody's heard a woman can either break a man or make a man, right? And it's 100% true. A woman can either suck all the energy out of a man. And how does that happen? By us being insecure. By us not being sure of ourselves, because then they're busy, making sure that you're okay. But that's not what they're here for either. We need to be whole. We need to be okay with ourselves, and then we can be in a relationship with a man. The first thing I usually ask people about someone that they dated, what did you like about them? Oh, they're exactly what I need. What does that mean, exactly what you need? Because what, now you know exactly what you need to give? Or because they're exactly what you want to receive? Most people think about the receiving. This is what I'm missing, ABC, and this is what this person has, ABC. That's not what it's about. It's about two people, and again, any man, two people who understand that there's the creator in the picture and are coming together, each one in their own job, each one in their own, however they are, to make things better for the world. So if we're so busy with equality and Me Too, and it's not, again, it's not like, Bill Cosby, he's like 85, he's gonna die in jail. Like, what? I don't understand the point of that. If someone really had a problem, speak up 25 years ago. Why'd you wait 25 years? Because of that, and I'm sure, and California is like, you need to be careful, because you look at somebody the wrong way, they're gonna sue you. It's so the fine line between, yes, something happened to me, and I'm going to deal with it now, not 25 years from now. I'm going to deal with it now, because no matter how embarrassing it is, no matter how shameful it is, and I think Eliyahu's spoken about it. There's a woman who we know that, and he wrote about it in his book that hopefully will come out soon, she used to party a lot in Miami, and she was raped on the one night. She was drunk, she was partying, she went to the car, and there were a couple of men there waiting for her, and she was raped, and she dealt with it right away. And while she was dealing with it, they caught them, they arrested them. She became a sexologist. She's she's amazing. But why? Because she understood that it happened to her for a reason and she needed to deal with it. And she's an amazing person. But she understood that that was her purpose in this life, to help people really understand sex. And we're going to talk about that also. It's a whole other, sex, the way people talk about it today it's not the way it should be. It's not the way it's supposed to be. It's not even close. And the first thing we could do, and I'm checking if I have enough time here. I have 5 minutes, okay. I promised it would be 27 minutes each one. Why 27? Because 27, the letter 27 in Hebrew is zach, which means pure. So we're going to purify ourselves, and I promise it'll be 27 minutes. So I have 5 minutes left. So what I want you to take away is I want you to, for next week, start thinking, who am I as a woman? Who am I as a woman? What am I doing as a woman? What am I contributing to society as a woman? Why do I have any of these insecurities that I may have as a woman? All of these questions are so important to tackle in the beginning because it's the beginning of the foundation. It's the beginning of any kind of relationship with any man in the world. And the most important thing to understand that we have a job in this world. And our job is unique. Unique every person and unique as a woman. And in relationships with any man, men, I'm sorry, but men are like babies. They are. All of them. They all are at teenage years forever and ever and ever. But there's a reason. There's a reason for it. Because they need a woman. Maybe I should edit that. They need a woman. They need a woman to stand behind them. Not hide behind them. There's a big difference between hiding behind a man and standing behind a man. Standing behind a man means that you're there helping them every step of the way, spiritually, physically, emotionally, not hiding. When you hide behind a man, then you're giving your power up. Then you don't want to deal with yourself because you don't want to take the responsibility. That's not standing behind a man. There's a big difference between hiding and standing. And all of us as women have to stand behind the men in our lives. All of us. We have to stand behind the men. If it's children, we have to take the responsibility and at least say, ABC, this is good for you, this is not good for you. Not because I know better, because I've had the experience, I've gone through it. Whatever they choose after that is there, and that goes for everybody. But we're so busy in the meat market. We're so busy, no, really, and we're so busy trying to find the right person. How do you find the right person? I couldn't stand him when we got married. Right before we got married, I couldn't stand him. How do you find the right person? You don't. You have to trust. If you go out once and you don't go out again with the same person, you haven't given them a chance. You haven't. Because there's so many, there are so many things that you don't see. Now, I'm not saying if the person's a total jerk, sorry, you shouldn't go out with them again. But you can't know. And then you also, if you hold your standards or whatever you think so high, you're going to be alone forever. Why? Because a relationship is something you work on. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't have all these stars and everything is beautiful and then you get married and happily ever after. That doesn't happen. It's not. If you want that, watch movies all day and all night, you're good. You also aren't going to get the most beautiful man, the hottest man. Put a picture of whoever you think is Al Pacino when he was young or Robert De Niro or whoever. And you could look at that because if a man looks like that, there's something wrong. So it's about investing in yourself first. Don't come to the table broken. Don't come to the table broken. If you come to the table broken, and I'm not saying of things that you went through, but of who you are. We all go through things. We all have challenges, but don't come to the table broken. And that's, I think, the first thing we need to work on is coming to the table whole, because no one is going to fill your lack. No one. No one is going to fill your lack. Coming to the table whole, coming to the table proud to be a woman, coming to the table understanding that we need to stand behind the man, not hide behind the man. Not hide. It's a very, very big difference. People think that they need to hide behind a man. No. No. And if it's teaching them how to treat you, you know, it says that the way a man treats a woman is the way that he treats the Creator. So when you're helping a man become better, you're actually helping his connection to the Creator. So it's way beyond how he treats you. Because if it's all about you, it'll never happen. That's what it means to put the Creator in the situation. Because the way a man treats you is the way he treats, because what's the female? It's the Shekhinah, it's the female aspect of the Creator. So the way his connection with the Creator is the same as his connection with you. Now, of course, this only goes for women who are coming from a spiritual point of view. Like, don't be disgusting, you know, I need this diamond ring that costs $20 billion, or I need that. It's not about that. Yes, you should push them, because the more you desire, the more you're bringing it down. He needs to manifest it for you, but if you don't have a desire for something, he can't bring it down. So if you want less, he's going to do less. If you want more, he's going to want to bring you more. So if you're able to come from a place of, I want this, but inside be able to say, but if I can let go of it, I don't want it, and want that diamond ring, and want that good house, and want that good life. Why not? Because then you're going to make them bring down more and more, and work more and more, on all levels, spiritually, physically, everything. It's our responsibility. You know, it says, Isha akeret habayit. Oh, that's my time. Akeret habayit is the most important thing in the house. A woman is the most important thing in the house. She's the one that sets the tone for everything. So next week, we're going to go into the homework, the why, I'm not sure what, but why are we, what's our job in this world? Why are we who we are? All those things, let's talk about it next week. And I think we'll do a couple of classes of intro, and then we'll go deeper into it. Thank you.